Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 3rd of August. The first important news, that is Center launches Vivad se Vishwas scheme 2. Earlier also government has come up with the first scheme. This was the initial that was launched. Now the government has relaunched it, naming it Vivad se Vishwas scheme 2. Second, panel to revise the part of anti-discriminatory guideline on the campuses because of the suicide cases that is rising. The concern has been raised. Third, that is center stay GST rates on online gaming and casinos. There was a lot of debate with regards to the union government decision on the part of 28% rate that was there. So many stakeholder has raised concern. Now government the government is not looking to change it as of now, but government has said that they will be revising it in every 6 months. Now, basically the other part, that is military forces witnesses surge in the psychiatric cases. We have seen recently the case where the RPF individual or personnel has shot his senior, that has raised the case with regard to the psychiatric and even the part of stress that is there on duty. We'll see the details. And the last is an editorial, the trajectory of progress must change. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further ado, let's get started. And before I begin this session, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services for useful, informative videos like this. And if you like this video, do not forget to give the thumbs. Starting the session with the first news, that is Center launches Vivad se Vishwas scheme 2, something important for General Studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it, design and implementations. So as I've told you earlier also, the Vivad se Vishwas scheme 1 was launched. Government has come up with the scheme 2, and this aim for settling the part of contractual dispute involving the government and the government undertaking. This was actually announced in the Union Budget 2023 and 24. This is the latest budget for this year that government has come up with the detailed provisions. Now the aim of this scheme is to resolve the contractual dispute with the private parties, clearing the backlog litigations which is there, and even to improve the ease of doing business. अगर आप देखें recent time में कई ऐसे cases थे जिनके वजह से जो companies हैं, even for the small sector, they were not performing well. So government is providing a leniency approach, and why it is also important, if you see post-COVID, the economy is recovering, right? So they need to have some point of relaxations that need to be provided. So I think the government has taken decision in the right direction. Now the deadline for submitting the claims under the scheme is 31st of October 2023. Now applicability की अगर बात करें, कौन कौन से ऐसे फर्म्स इंडिविजुअल होंगे जो जिनके लिए ये स्कीम एप्लीकेबल होगी, विवाद से विश्वास स्कीम 2. So the scheme will be applicable to the domestic contractual the part of dispute where the parties is either the government of India or an organization operating under its control, right? Or central government is aiming to resolve approximately 500 cases involving a total estimations of 1 trillion under the new voluntary settlement scheme according to the officials. So these are the anticipations, and government has set target that this much amount will be waived off or even relaxation will be provided. Now coverage of court orders की अगर बात करें, basically court has also come up with this order that the relaxation must be provided. तो one time settlement scheme को ध्यान में रखते हुए it will cover that also, where the court has ordered on April 30, 2023 that the arbitral order was given by January 30, 2023. Under the scheme, the court order passed on before 30th of April, and the settlement amount offered by the contractor is up to 85% of the net amount awarded or upheld by the court, right? So these will be also eligible. For arbitrary order passed before 1st of January 2023, the settlement amount offered will be up to 65%. तो variations हैं. अगर आपने आपकी अप्रैल के बाद है, this will be 85%, and if it is from 1st of January, this will be 65% of the net amount. Now, moving to the other news, panel to revise anti-discrimination guideline on campuses, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. Now, if you look at the part, अगर discriminations की बात करें campuses में, this is evident, और इसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए Ministry of Education, which was earlier known as Ministry of Human Resource Development, it has been renamed. I think most of you must be aware. तो Ministry of Education ने inform किया है Parliament को that Ministry has recently constituted an expert committee जो कि revisit करेगी regulations को on the part of anti-discriminations with respect to the scheduled caste. We have seen that the marginalized community, the SC, ST, and even the OBC, the other backward classes, and the person with disability and the minorities has been impacted, and the cases of suicide has been reported from these communities. Now, to make these things operational, UGC, that is University Grant Commissions ने actions लिए हैं in pursuance with the Supreme Court direction, which is there in July 2023, which has asked the government to have a clarity and affirmative steps to make campus free from the caste discriminations. Now, objective की अगर बात करें, objective of the committee will revisit the UGC regulation scheme concerning the ST, SC, and OBC, and PWD, and even the minority committees in higher educations, और ये further suggest करेंगे कि क्या remedial measures होनी चाहिए to take a non-discriminatory environment for ST, SC student in the higher educational institutions जितने HEIs हैं. So it is very important to nurture the part of brain irrespective of any caste and community. The student should be treated as student, and there should not be any part of leniency और किसी भी तरह से basically छूट नहीं देनी चाहिए किसी को भी. If any individual is like responsible for it, he should be strictly punished for it. Suicide cases की अगर बात करें, in the last 6 months we have seen that the cases of the suicide has been reported from some of the premier institutions in the country, including the IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, and IIT Delhi. और recent में दिल्ली में भी अभी एक केस देखी गई है डेथ की. So suicide actually. So in order to proactively address the part of issues, the ST-SC Student Institute have set up mechanism for ST-SC cell. Generally central universities में ST-SC cell only mandatory है because the grievances need to be addressed by a designated body, right? So equal opportunity cells होते हैं. If you are a student from Delhi University, you must be aware कि यहाँ पे equal opportunity cell भी की जाती है. This is mostly common in most of the central universities, right? There's a student grievances cell across the country, student grievances committee, and the student social clubs, licensing officers, and licensing committees. These are operating at different capacity and different state in different universities accordingly. Now, moving ahead with other news, that is Center States GST rate on online gaming and casinos, something important for General Studies paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. As you are aware that recently government ने 28% rate finalize की थी for the online gaming and casinos. This has raised concern और इस इंडस्ट्री से जो रिलेटेड स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उन्होंने बताया था कि ऐसे करने से FDI या जो भी कॉर्पस इंडिया में आनी थ्रू इन्वेस्टमेंट विल बी सीवियरली इम्पैक्टेड और ये इंडस्ट्री पूरी तरह से basically this will be completely bogged down. Now this is something the center has to decide. Now finally the union government has decided, and what it has actually decided, the Ministry of Finance has said that the GST Council decided to levy 28% of the GST on online gaming and casinos that face the bet at the entry level. और इसमें 3 states हैं basically जिन्होंने अपनी dissent express की, that is Delhi, Goa and Sikkim. Now if you look at the part of Goods and Services Tax Council, जो 50th meeting हुई थी recently, I have also made a discussion to this news. So they have discussed that 28% indirect taxes जो होंगी पूरी turnover पे for the online companies will be there. Now the GST Council has earlier formed the panel to look into the taxes in casinos, horse racing and online gaming, right? Now amendment to center GST law कुछ चेंजेस की बात की गई है. द सेंटर विल ब्रिंग अमेंडमेंट टू द सेंटर जीएसटी लॉ इन द ऑनगोइंग मॉनसून सेशन इन द पार्लियामेंट which will follow the state to pass the amendment. एक बार अगर सेंटर ने पास कर दिए चेंजेस, so हर respective state assemblies को भी पास करनी होंगी to pave the way for the inductions of this rule, which will be applicable from October 2023. Right? The revive or the review of the taxation for the online gaming will be taken every 6 months. So government has even left something to tweak if required in the designated time. तो ये से आगे नेक्स्ट टाइम पे चेंज करने की अगर जरूरत पड़ी देन गवर्नमेंट विल टेक दिस डिसीजन. द ऑफशोर गेमिंग प्लेटफॉर्म विल हैव टू रजिस्टर देमसेल्फ विद जीएसटी अथॉरिटीज. नाउ रिव्यू आफ्टर एवरी 6 मंथ, एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू, अब के बाद जो रिव्यू होगी वो अगले 6 मंथ्स के बाद होगी. द रिव्यू विल अंडरटेक आफ्टर एवरी 6 मंथ. कुछ स्टेट्स हैं लाइक छत्तीसगढ़, वेस्ट बंगाल, महाराष्ट्र, उत्तर प्रदेश, हिमाचल प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, Karnataka, Bihar have asked the council to implement that decision from the last meeting at the earliest, right? And offshore gaming platforms की अगर बात करें will have to register themselves with the GST authorities. Now, paramilitary forces witness surge in the psychiatric cases, something very, very important, and even the government and the concerned agencies and authorities need to keep this at very important, right? So need to focus on the part that how we can reduce it. Something important for general studies paper 3, various security forces, agencies and mandate. इसके अलावा ये आपके GS4 के लिए काफ़ी ज़्यादा important है ethics paper में, where there will be directly questions from the case studies, right? So you need to relate the fact, and if you have a psychology optional, अगर आपकी psychology optional है तो वहाँ पे भी ये चीज़ें काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज मिलिट्री साइकोलॉजी एक टॉपिक है साइकोलॉजी में, वहाँ पे भी आप से पढ़ सकते हैं. सो यू कैन रिलेट दैट अकॉर्डिंगली. So Ministry of Home Affairs have actually informed the Rajya Sabha that the Central Armed Police Forces have witnessed almost 60% increase in the number of psychiatric cases that is reported in the past 3 years. Now CAPF, which functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs, include forces like Border Security Force, Indo-Tibet Border Police, सशस्त्र सीमा बल, these are the primary forces. उसके अलावा CRPF है, Central Reserve Police Force. Then we have CISF, Central Industrial Security Force, जो कि generally industrial establishment में security provide करती है. And they actually maintain the internal law and order. उसके अलावा असम राइफल्स हैं जो कि गार्ड करती है म्यांमार के बॉर्डर को. सो यू कैन नॉट मिस आउट, असम राइफल भी इज अ पार्ट ऑफ CAPF, डायरेक्टली फंक्शंस अंडर द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स. मेनी अ टाइम दे हैव बीन अ क्वेश्चन, राइट? सो इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी को लेकर के ये सारी चीज़ें, ये एजेंसीज जो है CAPF एज अ पार्ट ऑफ अ ग्रुप दैट इज फंक्शन. Now, there have been cases, the surge has been reported. This is the report that is there directly from the Ministry of Home Affairs. They have informed the Parliament that from 3548 cases that were reported in 2020, this case has taken a toll to 3964 in 2021. और further अगर 2022 की बात करें, the cases number is 4940, right? So accounting the spike for 39.23% according to the ministry data. This is what the government has actually said. Now from this, a total of 4858 cases during the aforementioned of the 3 year, Central Reserve Police Force की बात करें, this topped the ranking, followed by the Border Security Force with 3559 cases, right? So the particular entity has also been highlighted by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Combined strength of CAPF की अगर बात करें, if you look at the part, total 10 लाख ऐसे पर्सनल है जो CAPF में अपनी ड्यूटी कर रहे हैं. They need to cater the part for like only 14 psychiatric doctors are available across the 5 forces. Expect the CAPF, which has no psychiatric posted according to the ministry. This is something government seriously need to look upon. See, we cannot be an inclusive country unless we are also looking for this part. We cannot simply ignore this. No, I personally feel this is an ignorant approach also from even from the government or from any forces. This has to be looked upon, right? Mental balance, mental peace, psychological well-being is very, very important. So CAPF has well deployed across the length and breadth of the countries, and they're maintaining their duties, disaster management, और civil authorities को aid करने की काम करते हैं. A large element of the border guarding forces are also deployed for the national activities operational to internal securities and duties. Now several corrective steps लिए गए हैं government की तरफ से. This is what has been informed. So this steps include that all personnel being checked up thoroughly and every year by an authority's medical attendance during the annual medical examination, right? Disease detections being properly treated, if required, can be referred to the specialized, and even investigations and opinion can be there with the expert. Periodic follow-up for the chronic cases. A record of each personal health will be kept in the personal health card and reviewed time to time. And yoga has been the part of the physical training, and even stress management will be there through yoga. But apart from this, we need to incorporate the international practices, the best practices across the globe, so that we can make things more stable, more basically giving relaxations and stress busters to our paramilitary forces. Now moving ahead with the editorial of the day, that the trajectory of process must change, something important for Gender Studies paper 2, that is the bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So what I'll be discussing under this editorial, the editorial actually focuses on the theme or the highlight, that is for G20 and its roadmap. We'll look into the important issues like governance is facing trouble, achieving SDG targets, map for the ground realities on local governance and the way forward. So India hold the presidency of G20 on December 1st, 2022, or this will continue till November 2023, where the tenure for India will be completed. The G20 has provided an opportune stage for India. G20 की अगर बात करें, it's an impasse because US want its member to shut Russia and China want to see threats with the global hegemony. So हर एक countries की अपनी global alliance भी बनी है in the recent time, but India is an active member and the current president or the chair of the G20. Now governance is facing trouble. This is what has been highlighted. अगर global governance की बात करें, this is in the bad shape and trajectory of progress must change. This is what has been highlighted in this article. और trajectory of progress की अगर बात करें, this must change with the economic development and more equitable and more sustainable nature should be incorporated. Economists ने कहा है that with the number of poverty that is reducing, income are increasing for everyone. And India, being the chair for G20, has offered the vision for Vasudhaiva Kundakam, that is one earth, one family, one future, that is to bring citizens of the world together to make world better for everyone. Now in 2015, all countries adopted 17 UN Sustainable Development Goal to be achieved by 2030. SDG targets की अगर बात करें, as you know, SDG targets are very important. 17 SDG के goals हैं, which should be learned by heart to you. This is again simply important for the mains examination. Combinations of उसमें issues address किए गए, which include the part for environment, social and economic problem. All 17 problems do not appear for every country. हर एक countries के लिए जो problems होंगी अलग अलग होंगी. SDG की जो targets बनाई गई हैं, that has been considered across the globe. हर एक countries अपनी priorities के हिसाब से उस पर काम कर सकते हैं. For example, ocean are immediate life threatening to Iceland and countries but not Lockland has nothing to do with it, right? So जिस countries के लिए जो important concern है वो SDG के goals के target के through उसे achieve कर सकते हैं. No country has only one SDG problems. Every country has at least 6 to 7 problem. हर एक country के पास SDG के targets को अगर देखे जाए तो 6 से 7 ऐसे problem है जो हर एक countries के साथ exist करते हैं. Now, a map for the ground realities. McKinsey ने अपनी studies में बताया है that they have made a study. The report is that pixels of progress, a granular look at the human development around the world. It says that the world is divided into 40,000 micro regions. Using the advanced statistical techniques, is zoom into the examine for actual progress और उसकी क्या ज़रूरतें हैं, how that the development should be there, growth की GDP के level पे, per capita income, how things are actually working. They have come up with the ground reality. Now it applies to the yardstick for the life expectancy. This is what I was actually talking about in terms of the per capita income and compared to the well-being of the people in the region. So the part of the holistic development livelihood options need to be explored more. The report concludes that the growth of GDP in the country level explains that 20% of the progress in the ground has been made, yet 80% still remain that has to be achieved with an endeavor both by the state, center and other agencies responsible for doing so. ना लोकल गवर्नेंस की अगर बात करें, डेमोक्रेसी में लोकल गवर्नेंस एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. इफ यू सी द पार्ट फॉर द स्ट्रक्चर, local governance play a very important role at the basic level, and democracy is the government for the people, of the people, for the people, by the people, right? The government elected by the people has to provide the benefit with the top down, which is not completely there for the democracy. We should always have a bottom up approach. This is like called top down. Top down is something which is not advisable. We should always have a bottom up approach, right? Now the government must be have a people themselves with too, and India has elections, but citizen does not have a Purna Swaraj yet. This is what the editor has highlighted in this article. If you look at the way forward, India has proposed an approach for life, that is lifestyle for sustainable development at G20. It requires coherent actions among the stakeholders at level rooted for cohesive actions in society. Like people, principle 7 की अगर बात करें life की, that require world leaders to recognize and amplify the local communities, local and regional government, traditional knowledge supporting sustainable lifestyle. Now, mere economic growth, which will not solve the problem, it need to have a sustainable and equitable too. So जो problems हैं, चाहे वो SDG के targets हों, whether it is SDG targets or any problem, we need to find a feasible solution. Even for the environment, even for the climate change, we need to work in that direction only. That will only find a feasible solutions in the coming years. So this is how the things should move ahead. Moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is D. Today's MCQ for practice about millet. Government of India has declared year 2023 as an International Year of Millet. Asia and Africa are the major productions and consumption center for millet crop. So do check out for the correct option. Now the second question for the day, that is, it is forming a hacking less than attack and a device for its discoverable Bluetooth connections. Wireless earplugs apps are vulnerable to hacks. So do check out for the correct option. Practicing a lot more current affair question will give you an edge over the upcoming examination. And this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other queries, any questions about test series, courses, and the program, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.